Hey Nikki, so I wanted to get this video out to you so we can try to wrap up the remaining art that I need for the mobile version. Like I was saying in the email that I sent you, the game plays wonderfully and looks great on mobile. It really does look good. As you can see, our new aspect ratio here, I've been really working my butt off to just redo everything with this aspect ratio. It's been kind of a big pain, but making the game better, and it is a ton of fun. So right off of the bat, we're gonna need these new buttons here. Now before you had to press the Y button when you got this warning for erasing your progress. Obviously you can't touch a Y button on mobile, so we need yes and no buttons. Now these ones I want all the buttons here are going to follow a couple of different looks. The yes and no buttons are going to be the same exact look of the new game and the continue buttons, just smaller. And I shrank them down to 96 width and 32 height. And just the same exact look as these new games and continue. These can be static buttons. We don't really even need any kind of animation frames for these because, one thing about mobile is there's no hover, so there's no sense in, once you tap these buttons, it either kills itself and disappears if you click no, or it just goes to the vortex if you click yes. So, this can just be a static yes and a static no with this same exact look with the new game and the continue look. Now, the other big thing is you can see the new layout. I haven't done the tutorial yet. That's why all this stuff, all the text is all screwy. But you can see we actually have touchscreen buttons. And it doesn't. I should have actually. Oh man, I should have done this on click. These are multi-touch buttons, so unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to show you the pause menu. But these work great. So you hold the game with your hand, and then with your thumb you click the dash button and the sword button, and it really works good. So another button that we need is a pause button, and I want this button to be the exact same size as our upgrade buttons, which I believe our and you can just go with and start with these as a template. I believe these are 128 width by 96 height, and all I want this to do is have the same kind of look, the same kind of feel, and I just want it to say pause. And I also want this to have a second animation frame that says unpause. When you click this button or tap this button, it brings up the pause menu, which actually has some other buttons that we need. And unfortunately, my dumbass didn't program this for mouse click, so I can't show you them, but I can tell you what we need. So I want this to have a second animation frame that says unpause. And unpause animation frame should probably have a little blink to it to kind of catch the player's eye, just to let them know, like, this is the button that you need to press in order to get back to the game. The regular button can be the same as like the dash and the sword buttons. These are I used the brightest icons. It can be nice and bright, but it doesn't need to blink or anything like that. But the unpause button should probably have some kind of a blink to it to catch the player's eye, and it can just say unpause. The other buttons that we need is once you go into the pause menu, and I'm sorry, I should have programmed this better in order to show you this, the actual pause menu, is we need a vortex button, and then we need a mute button and a swap button. Now, the vortex and the mute buttons are going to be the same look of the ones that I had showed you on the title screen, the blue style. The same as the new game and the continue buttons. I really like that style. It can be the same exact pixel width, which I believe was 192 by 64, as I believe the pixel height and width for those. And the one just needs to say vortex, and that can be a static button because once you hit it, you immediately go back to the vortex. We don't need any other animation frames. But the mute button needs an unmute animation frame. So and that one should probably be blinking too, kind of like the pause menu. I want to make sure that if someone hits the mute button, they can see that kind of blinking and catching their eye. And also too, once you mute the game and then unpause it, right here where my mouse is, it says mute, so the player will know that the game is muted. But I want to make sure that when they pause the game that that'll catch their eye if they have the game muted. And then I also will be putting that same button in the vortex vortex as well. Can I actually go to the vortex? I've done so many things. So you can see, you can kind of see it switch its animation frame here. I can't get the actual screen yet because some of the logic's not behind it because it's on the key press. Can I actually go into the vortex still? Yes, I can. So you can see our new layout for the vortex. The mute button's here, and for some reason when I do it on the Flash player I get this blinking crosshair, which I can fix, but I don't get that at all in mobile, so I have to just make sure that no devices are showing that. But anyway, in here, yeah, we don't really need any extra buttons. Oh yes we do, the ranking right here, this rank button that you did, or the rank, it's just a doodad, it's not a button. I would actually like to change this to a 10-star ranking. This is going to be the biggest version, the biggest difference with the mobile version, is I'm going to really rework endless mode, and I'm going to make it like a really lengthy kind of thing, and I'm going to base the player's ranking. Like right now, once you start endless mode, it's always the same no matter what your rank is. You always start from scratch, and it takes forever to get back to where you were. This one's going to run like if you're rank 5 and you go to endless mode, it's going to automatically put you into ranking 5 tier as far as how many points you collect, how many gems you get, and all that stuff, so you can rank up more and more. And I'm going to do something cool too, where the one other piece of art that we need is the rank up art. I want to flash something on the screen almost very large. You know, I think your cousin did that artwork for me, the save to kill logo and the title screen, the big save to kill. I want to do something kind of similar with that kind of writing. It doesn't need to be animated at all. It can just be static because it's just going to flash onto the screen. When someone gets a rank up in endless mode, I want to flash that onto the screen, and I will actually unleash the player's ultimate, so it'll kill all the enemies on the screen and they'll get the rank up. So that's the other piece of art that we need. And also these ranking stars, I would like this to be, instead of a 5-star rank, I'd like to see if we can do a 10-star one. So it can be like, you know, it's obviously going to be a little bit bigger than this, but I don't want it to be much bigger. So instead of 1 2 3 and then 1 2, it can be 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4 5, and endless mode will just be really beefed up in this game. And you know, I was originally going to do like extra 2 levels, but the way I think I'll do it is, you know, to fill up this dead space, is I'm going to move the free gems button down here and maybe grow it in stencil just a little bit, and that's going to be how we can make maybe a little bit of money on the game. If they click that, that's going to be an ad reward video. If they watch that, they'll get a certain amount of gems. And actually what's cool is every single time you click on this and watch a reward video after it's successful, the amount of gems will go up by 10%, and I'm not going to cap that. I might cap it at like something ridiculous like 2 million or something, but I really want to make sure that this button will stay relevant for the player. And if for whatever reason, if they really wanted to and they just wanted to sit and spam that button for 2 hours long, they could just basically get completely OP from the beginning. And that's, if they want to do that, that's fine. That's more money for me, you know. So I really don't want to. My big philosophy with this is like, I want to get into mobile stuff, but I really have issues with mobile gaming. I think I can't stand mobile gaming, to be honest with you. I think ads and microtransactions, it really bothers me. So I want to make sure that the player is not forced to ever watch an ad. And I can advertise that. I can advertise that in the game's description, or maybe even tag it as no forced ads, because I think players really appreciate that, you know. And I think people will click on this, especially if I'm not going to start it at like 3,000 gems. I'll start it at 500. It'll increase, and I just want to make sure that it stays relevant. So like every single time the player comes back to the vortex, they'll probably click on this once or maybe twice, or maybe not at all. But I just want to make sure that, you know, they understand that this is how they can support their developer. And on the other side, and the one last button that we need, and I'm going to write down a list in the email that I send you as far as every single button we need. I want to do one more button over here that is the same as the same look as the new game, the continue, the vortex, and the mute button. That blue kind of you can see like that blue kind of button with the triangular edges. I want one button the same pixel size as the vortex button, and the new game and the continue button, 192 width, 64 height, that says game tips. So the free gems button is going to come down here. Then I'm going to put the mute button here, and then I'm going to put the hardcore button here, and then under it right here is going to be a button that's called Game Tips. And when players click on that, I'm going to do an RNG that's going to, I'm going to probably try to think of like 35 different game tips or something like that, or you know, maybe 10 different game tips, and it'll scroll like, it'll put up like a black screen here so that they can easily read it, and it'll be like tip 1, tip 2, tip 3, and every single time they click on it, it'll give them a new set of tips. And I can just to tell them, you know, how to manage their special, make sure they're using their special attack, making sure they're healing with their ultimate, basically all the little stuff that developers just would like love to tell the player, like, please use your specials, please make sure you understand to heal with your ultimate, all those little things that people complain about because it's not really in their face, and like they don't, you know, I mean there's some people that have played that complained on Congregate that didn't even know that you could control your character. Unbelievable. People thought that the only way you can move in the game was to roll back and forth. I had people criticize the game saying, oh, it's good bullshit that it costs special meter for me to roll back and forth. Sometimes I have no option but to just stand there and get hit. It's like, dude, you move your, what? You've been playing the game and not moving your character? It's the first line in the tutorial. Whoa, how do you, like, you know, boggles my mind. So anyway, having this little tip button here where I can like communicate with the player a little bit and just give them some game tips will really help. And it'll fill out this extra void in the screen, because the screen resolution, we lost a lot of it on the width, but we gained some on the height. So this will fill up these extra areas, and this will all look really, really tight and look really beautiful. So just to recap, we need yes and no buttons with the same look as the new game and continue, but they're going to be 96 pixels wide, 32 pixels high, just very small yes no buttons for the beginning. We then need a vortex and a mute button with the same exact style, but at 192 pixels wide and 64 high. The mute button will have a second animation frame that says unmute, and this animation frame will blink. You can see I can click it in here. And this mute button in the vortex is a little small just because I shrank it. I'm gonna grow it bigger and put it down here. You can kind of see where I've already got the animation frame, like, you know, in there. Then we need a pause button, and that's going to be the same exact size as these guys with the same exact feel. And that's 128 pixels wide by 96 high. And then we need our game tips button. Yeah, I guess calling it game tips. That's going to be the same style as the vortex and the mute button. And I think that is about it. Oh yes, one more. When you pause the game, if I can pause now, no? Can I pause? No. Everything's kind of weird now that I switched to like touchscreen and everything. When you pause the game, I want yet one more button in the pause screen that is called swap, and it's going to be the same exact look as the dash button, the sword button, and the pause/unpause button. And remember, the unpause button is going to have a second animation frame that says unpause. It's going to be the same exact size, and it's going to say swap and probably have 2 arrows on it. And basically, if the player clicks that button, it's going to swap these buttons from the left side to the right side. I don't have that programmed in yet, but I think that I should have an option in there for left-handed people, because you do need to click these buttons with your thumb. So, like, again, I know that that's a lot, but I think it's in total, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think it's a total of 7 buttons we need, and I'll write everything down again in the email so it's fairly clear and give you some pixel sizes. And if you have any questions about what exactly, oh yeah, and I forgot the ranking stars. So that's 8 buttons. And then for right now, let's just do the ranking stars. Let's not do, remember I was talking about doing that big thing that says rank up. Let's hold off on that. I might even be able to just do that with a drawing event, or not even do it at all. you know, that was just an idea I had, and you know, now that I'm thinking about it, that's starting to get a little heavy with this work order as far as art goes. Because it is one of those things where it's like the game's done, the game has been done. I keep coming up with all these ideas, and I'm just like, you know what? At some point, you got to just call something done and move on. And all these crazy extra ideas with extra levels and enemies and all this stuff and extra content, like I'll focus all that kind of effort into like maybe a new IP or a new game, you know, versus like hanging on and trying to change the shit out of this one. You know, I don't want to pull like a George Lucas with Star Wars and just keep changing this game like over and over again. So, but yeah, that would be the work order, man. I'm getting really pumped. I actually did contact and I've been talking with Chuck a little bit about iOS development or iOS publishing, so I'm getting really pumped. I'm thinking that this game, I'm going to really kind of switch gears here. I definitely want to keep rolling with Space Race, but this is my main priority since it's so close to being done. All right, man, let me know what you think.